And start the record. Yeah.
Start the recording. Welcome, everyone. We're so excited. I'm Andrea Vall with my fabulous hair today.
And I'm Phyllis Care with my fabulous hat. Actually, it's my sister's hat. Thank goodness I'm visiting her.
That's awesome. So, yeah,
Yes.
I'm feeling good. All right. So good. We're talking today about hashtag megatips, 3 hashtag megatips, and there's probably going to be more. We title it 3,
Megatips.
but there's probably more in there. We're going to give you 3 big ones, though. So good. And hi, welcome everyone just joining us. Hi, Allie. Hi,
Daphne. Hey.
Daphne. Yep. And Joshua. That is
Hello. Timothy.
funky. Yep. Cool.
Yes.
And if you're listening on to this via recording, welcome to you as well. We're going to be talking about hashtag megatips here. So what's the first thing about hashtags that people need to know about? I mean, first of all, it's just the little pound sign, right?
Yes. And it's funny to me because when you find people who are not used to using hashtags and you start talking about hashtags, they go, I don't get it, right? They don't understand the magic of hashtags. And the magic of hashtags is they expand reach tremendously. But the neat thing about that is that the first megatip, all the people here early, you get the first megatip right away.
1 minute in.
1 minute in, we are mega tipping here. So the first mega tip is you should use them. That is like the biggest tip, because think about it. Just think about it for just a minute. This is real kind of good old school on you here a little bit. So when you get a newspaper, okay, and you get your newspaper and you read your newspaper, and then you set it aside and that's it. Circulation of 1, right? But if you get that newspaper and then you give it to your spouse, and then you give it to your son, then you give it to your daughter, and then the next door neighbor comes, say, I didn't get mine today. And so they take yours and they go over there, and it goes to the next person, next person, and next person. That's the power of reach. One thing reaches more people. And the way that happens online is through hashtags. Hashtags are the fuel. And they're magical things, and we should all use them as much as possible. Mega tip number 1.
All right. That's a good tip, because a lot of people aren't using them. I have just actually recently started using them in almost all of my tweets that I have, where I'm posting my Facebook evergreen content. So that is something that I've started implementing. So that's good.
Yes, and that evergreen hashtag. So now here's another little very interesting thing about hashtags, is that 1 year a hashtag might mean something, and then another year it might mean something else. So when you use hashtags that are going to be in evergreen posts like that, you have to use evergreen hashtags. And those are basically keywords or search terms, because those search terms are not going to change through time, whereas artistic hashtags or slang hashtags or topical hashtags, those will have a season, and then you will look very odd a year from now with those tweets that are still going out with that odd hashtag. But if you use those search terms, those keywords as your functional hashtags for those evergreen posts, then you're gold.
So what do you think about using event hashtags that are, should we put something like 2015, 2016, the current year, if it's an event? What do you think? Is that,
if it's an event and there are no other ways to gain the recordings, like for example, if you do something December 2015, but the recordings are going to be available in January, February, March, then yeah, it's okay to use that. But if it's an event, a live event where you're going to be, yes, but don't set them up as evergreen tweets. That's all. Yeah. Right. Use them until they're done, and then you stop using them. Yeah. I'm so distracted by your hair.
I feel like I should stand different with my hair.
Yeah. Too much. Well, I had this hat on the way I thought it was supposed to be. And my sister came in, she goes, "Oh, no, no, no." And she came and did this thing for me.
Oh, nice.
So I wore it like a farmer, and she came and made me this. So that's the way it is. So let's just ask the people that are here, you guys using hashtags, right? Is anybody want to say something? Howdy. Hey, how you doing?
Hey there,
in terms of our first mega tip, which is just to use them, darn it. You really have to use them to really get the reach that you want to do. Is there anyone out there who does not use hashtags for some reason? I hope not, because
I think a lot of our students are on there. We have a lot of hashtag users, so that's awesome. All right, so let's see. What's not when you reply to people. Yeah, that's definitely true. I am the same way. I don't always use them in replies. A lot of times I take them out of tweets if I'm trying to retweet someone and it just all doesn't fit. So I'll take the hashtag out. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to. So that is a challenge.
Let's see. There are 3 kinds of hashtags. So we really need to kind of be real clear about which hashtags we're talking about. So there are branded hashtags, and those are companies that use either their company name or their tagline as a hashtag. And that's a branded hashtag. Then there are functional hashtags, and those are the ones I was just talking about, those keywords and search terms, things that are evergreen. Those are functional hashtags. And then you have those fun hashtags that are just long sentences without spaces, or they're funny comments that are made into long hashtags. So there are 3 kinds: branded, functional, and fun. So you use them differently, and you use them in different situations. But you have to know, like you say, if there's a tweet that's too long and there are 3 hashtags in there, and one is fun, one's functional, one's branded, you have to think about, well, what happens now when I take one out? And so it's a little bit of thinking you have to do.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, the fun. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point from Janet. She says, I'm not sure I'd use all 3. And I agree. I probably wouldn't, unless you're on Instagram, I probably wouldn't use all 3 in other types of posts. So
there's a real funny one that just uses the ones that I think are the funniest using hashtags are when they don't use any functional ones and they don't use any branded ones, and they're all funny ones, right?
Yeah.
So those to me are hysterical because they have no function whatsoever except it's a commentary just turned into a hashtag. And a lot of people don't get that. It makes no sense to them to use a hashtag that doesn't have a function. So, that's something that we can talk about too, I think.
Yeah. Well, and Daphne had a good point as well. She said that she's not sure about using them on Facebook. And I do agree. I think that Facebook, I've done some testing and it just doesn't always do as much as other places. So I don't use hashtags as much on Facebook personally. So,
but I do.
I know you do.
Okay, but see, I do on certain clients. Okay, so let's be real clear about this. There are certain clients that have certain hashtags that definitely expand reach on Facebook. But what I do is even if I use the words in the post text, I will still add them as hashtags, but I do 2 spaces and then I put 3 hashtags at the bottom of that on Facebook. That's as much as I would do on Facebook.
Yeah. Facebook, I think they work better if you just put them at the end of the post. It just as they can't hurt. That's what I always tell people. Right. They're not going to hurt. There's some people who have said that they felt like they did hurt. They didn't, or tagging hurt. But I have found that tagging and hashtags personally has not hurt my reach. It just sometimes doesn't affect it as much. Although tagging, I think it actually works better than hashtags.
Yeah, but I'm so distracted by my fringe. I
love your fringe.
It's so distracting. I just want to take it off. Do you feel like you ever want to just rip? Oh, you couldn't rip your hair off right now if you wanted.
No.
You've integrated yours into that, haven't you? So funny. All right. So Daphne's saying I use them on Facebook. Just wonder about functionality. Yeah. Yeah. And I actually like putting them, just like I said, way down at the bottom of the post, because if they do work, I want them in there. And it takes me like 2 seconds to type in 3 major keywords with a hashtag in front of them. And sometimes I will use those hashtags to do research for my clients. So I can see what other people are posting with that same hashtag, and it works great on Facebook. So that works well for me.
Yeah, I definitely find stuff on Facebook because of hashtags occasionally. So when I'm doing searches, when I'm doing research, I will find things because of hashtags that I might not have found otherwise. So I think, like I said, it can't hurt. Yeah.
And that's Facebook. Now we're going to talk a little bit about each social site. Do you want to talk about hashtags on other social sites besides Facebook?
Yeah. So let's do
it.
Let's do it.
That's an inside joke.
It's our from our workshop. So you want to talk about researching hashtags? What do you want to talk about? Tools. So we've done our first mega tip, but we're also kind of talking about how to use them, how to use them on social sites.
Let's do this. So included in the mega tip number 1 of just use them on Facebook, 2 or 3 at the bottom of the post, just to cover all your bases is great. On Twitter, I would, if you're think about the events, the branding, the keywords that you're trying to be seen in. Twitter, definitely you need to use them. Definitely you need a strategy around them, and we're going to talk about how to find those in a minute. And then on Pinterest, you don't use them as hashtags. You use them as keywords instead. And also on LinkedIn, you don't use them as hashtags. You use them as keywords.
Right.
And then the last one, 2 things. Well, one, here, let's talk about Blab real quick, is we should have put hashtags in the title because this goes to Twitter. This is a big deal, and so you definitely need to put hashtags in the title for Blabs. But also, the last one we want to throw in there is Instagram. And from what the research says, yes, hey Debbie, don't we?
I know, I'm kidding.
Is 11 seems to be the sweet spot, but you can go up to 30.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that many hashtags, and if you look at people who are really rocking hashtags on Instagram, they're doing branded, functional, and fun hashtags. So, take a look at their mix on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually I, and Allie, I can't change it. For some reason, the title change is not working. I was trying to do that quick too, to put in hashtag but we'll put it in the recording for sure. And I'm so happy that Debbie's cracking up because Debbie knows us both very well, and we're looking good, aren't we?
It's hats and wigs. What can I say?
Yeah. So that's a good question. No, I'm not using the change topic. I'm using the
well, I think that's where you do it, is the change.
I'm using that. I'm trying to use the change topic. It's not working. So. Beta. Maybe you can change it, Phyllis.
I was just trying, and no, it won't let me either.
No, it's not letting me. So
it's beta.
Yeah. So good. And if you do want to tell a little bird, you get a little fun recording of us in our outfits here.
Yeah, I still haven't seen one that is flattering. So seriously, it's very
it's cracking me up. So, very, very cool. So we've got, so numbers and kind of topics. We talked about numbers, topics. Did you talk about numbers in Pinterest? I was like distracted.
Oh, Pinterest. No. Pinterest. So on Pinterest, you don't use hashtags. You use them as keywords. So if you, on Twitter, you have a hashtag of, beachwear. I don't know why, but if you had one for beachwear, then on Pinterest, you would use the word beachwear, but you wouldn't put a hashtag in front of it. That's all. You can be the same words. It's just on Pinterest and LinkedIn, you use them as keywords instead.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
All right, so that's all under the.
That's all under mega tip 1. So such a bonus mega tip right there. All right, so mega tip. Should we move on to mega tip number 2?
Woohoo! Let's ding, ding, ding. Mega tip number 2, research them first. First, take a breath before you type that hashtag. You have to research it, even if it's seemingly just a fine little hashtag. Always get in the habit of researching it. And I joke when I do my local workshops, I said, run them by a teenage boy first.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, because you never know. And
I
have a clue. Could be slang for God knows what.
There's a really funny, I just saw a really funny thing with Ted Cruz's logo. It was trusted, but Truss is, and then Ted is, they're in 2 different colors. And so someone said, well, Google Truss in the, and it's something to do with the prostrate. So again, research this stuff because you never know.
People research it. And like I said, so I actually have a 9-step thing you can go through to really research a hashtag, especially if you've never used it before and you really don't have a clue and you really need, I think I'm going to put this in the chat because I think it's worth it to know these 9 steps. And it's not just go and do a Google search on it or a Twitter search on it. There's more you have to do. Yeah. And especially run it by the teenage boy. That's your bonus step. But also a slang, this is the funny thing about slang is that we think we're hip and cool. I mean, look at us.
We are. I mean, we are hip and cool, but we're not tuned in to all the slang all the time.
And the last thing you want to do, especially for a client, if you're working with a client, is use a hashtag that you maybe put on 100 tweets.
Yeah.
And you need to go, you need too cool for hashtag, too cool for slang. Yeah,
I like that. Too cool for slang. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And Urban Dictionary is an eye-opener, Allie. I agree. It's
on the list.
To go right there.
It's definitely on the list because, there's some funny examples about that. There's also a really interesting thing about, it's kind of a functional thing about hashtags that a lot of people don't know is you can capitalize letters on hashtags and it will stick. So it's really important to look at how it looks. If you're using all lowercase letters, let someone else look at it because they might read it differently. There was that really famous story about the hashtags recently let's see if I can find it here real quick. Okay, so it's now Thatcher is dead when Margaret Thatcher passed away. But they did it in all lowercase, and the way you read it, it says now that Cher is dead. And so that's why there was that big thing a few years ago about, oh my God, rest in peace, Cher. And she's like, what? I'm in Vegas, kicking away. And that's just because when you read the letters, that's the words you see. So definitely look at your hashtag and see if you need to capitalize anything to make it easier to read and understand. Really important.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Janet's saying that there's a tool, simpler.com, and they have disease discussions. So is Simpler just that's healthcare hashtags? That's interesting. That's specific to healthcare. That's really cool.
I like that they collected them like that. That's actually a really cool thing to be able to go to a place that has all the healthcare hashtags, and I'm sure somebody's already done this, but all the exercise hashtags, all the eat right, all the coaching, all the wear hats and wigs. I don't know. I'm sure that there's something in there for people like us. But the only tool that there's two tools I really like, and everybody hears me say this all the time, but hashtagify.me.
That is the coolest tool.
It is the coolest tool. And that one I think is brilliant for research because you need related hashtags, and that one's great for related hashtags. Also to tell you who is using that hashtag the most.
Yeah.
So you want to see, because you, by association, you will now be connected to those people. So if your client has certain requirements of being in the company of certain people, you need to go and take a look at that hashtag before you plaster it all over their site. It's really important to do.
Yeah, and for sure, it definitely, because, you know, there might be one, the thing I like about Hashtagify Me too is that, you know, right now it's like top 10 hashtags related to the Super Bowl right on there, because if you don't know which the other related ones are, there could be one that's being used more than the one you thought of. So you want to make sure you're using the most popular one.
I actually have to tell you something about the Super Bowl. So legally, you have to be licensed to say the phrase Super Bowl with caps anywhere on social. So if you're saying that for a client, you need to stop immediately. And what you do is and thanks to Gina Schreck and the people at Social Connects for researching this and making me aware of it. And that is that you can say the big game or the super game or the great party or whatever, but you can't say Super Bowl. But hashtag, you can say hashtag Super Bowl, because you can't register a hashtag.
Haha, that's cool.
Yes, but the Super Bowl, the official Super Bowl hashtag is SB50. So they're using SB50 as their official hashtag, but you know good and well there are going to be a bunch of people who are just using hashtag Super Bowl, right?
Right.
So if you want your stuff in front of lots of people, you either have to use both or you're going to have to switch it up for different posts and see which one gets better reach. But don't put the word Super Bowl in the post itself.
Yeah.
Mega tip Super Bowl.
That is, that's why everyone talks about the big game snacks in their advertising or whatever. So
the big game.
But that is interesting about the hashtag.
Hashtag, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that is very true. Tim is saying no one can own the hashtag, and that's very true, because sometimes we had a case where someone was upset that we were using the same hashtag as they were. They had an event that happened, you know, at a certain time, but our hashtag was going on a little bit longer and actually at a very different time than theirs. And no one can own that hashtag. But you do have to, like you said, Tim, you can kind of, once you develop it to a point, then, you know, it really, you are owning that mind space around it, like you said. So very, very true.
They were very territorial about that hashtag. And we had to rethink our strategy around it, because it's true. You don't want to use a hashtag that other people are using for a branded event. Okay, so that's why there's 3 types of hashtags again: branded, functional, and fun. And you need to know the difference and when to use them.
Right. So for those of you just joining us, we'll recap our 2 mega tips so far. Number 1 is just use hashtags. And we talked about lots of different ways to use them on different social sites, different number of hashtags in each social site that are kind of ideal. Mega tip number 2 is to research them and use tools like Hashtagify Me. And you were going to give another tool, weren't you?
Yes, and it is called, hang on a second, make sure I say it the right way, Trends Map. Do you know about Trends Map?
I don't know. I don't use that one.
Well, this is for those of you who do local marketing for people. And I can put it in the, I'll put it in the, okay.
There we go.
So Trends Map is good for local businesses because it will show you what's trending in certain locales. So for example, right now, of course, hashtag Broncos is trending in Colorado.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously. Yeah. So a lot of times what you can do is you can just kind of scan through this and see what's trending in your area. And then that way there might be some that you can piggyback and use in your marketing. Now, it's very important not to spam the hashtag. You know, this is mega tip number 2.c or whatever. And that is don't spam the hashtag, but there might be some that you can piggyback that would work great. So that's the reason Trends Map is kind of cool for those who do local marketing.
That is cool. I'm looking at it now. That's really cool. I've never looked at it. And it's got a free, obviously a free version, but then of course there's a paid version for more detail.
If you really need to do deep research into what people are saying in a location, then this would be, obviously the paid version would be the thing to do. Yeah. But if you just need to do some scanning around to see what's kind of going on in a certain area, then, then it's no big deal.
Yeah. Awesome. So, another tool that I like is oh my gosh, I can't believe I just told you Tagboard.
Oh, I love the Tagboard. Now, here's the thing about Tagboard. I like Tagboard too, but here's one small thing that people don't realize when they use Tagboard is on Facebook. When somebody uses a hashtag on a Facebook post, but they only share it with their friends, that post will not show up on Tagboard. Mm-hmm. It's only public posts that have the hashtag. So if you are gathering entries to something like a contest or a giveaway across Facebook and Twitter and G+ and wherever you're pulling from, Instagram, you have to make it really clear to people that if they're posting on Facebook, it has to be a public post or else it won't be in the entry.
Right.
So it's a little tricky that way with that one.
Yeah.
But it's great because you can brand the hashtag page.
Yeah.
Right? You can put the header up. You can describe what the hashtag's used for. You can, it's a beautiful interface. I love it. My favorite too.
Yeah. So cool. Do we have any more on this
research negative number 2? No, it's plenty.
All right. That's good. And make sure, for those of you, you get Phyllis's checklist. I'm going to post that again because that is awesome. An awesome tool for researching your hashtags and making sure that you are getting all the data that you need before you start using that hashtag.
Yeah. So. And there's one more thing I want to put in here too as a link. If you are, I don't think there's anyone here that's is there anybody here that's like completely new to hashtags? Is like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Or you have a client that has no idea what you're doing and you need to educate them. Yeah. If you have that, then this particular link will take you to a wonderful post by Neil Patel. And it's like a hashtag 101 and it's lovely and it's a nice read. And so if you need to educate somebody around why to use hashtags, then that would be a great place to send.
Yeah, that's good because sometimes, you might be working with someone who doesn't get it and it's just easier to send them just something to go read to get all the details. So good. Okay.
Andrea, I'm getting so used to your hair looking this way that it's just going to be weird to see you with regular hair. It's so funny to me.
I'm telling you, I am kind of liking it. I'm digging it. I am digging this hair.
Big hair.
It is. Big hair. It's some 80s hair right there.
I'm telling you, I really, truly, I think the hat kind of tells everybody that we're doing weird stuff. But seriously, they're going to see you at a conference and they go, you changed your hair.
I know. So good. Let's move on to mega tip number 3.
Okay. So we sort of talked a little bit about this, and that's the best places to use them and when to use them as keywords instead. And let's just do a quick recap for anybody here. So this is like a lampshade.
It's a lampshade. I love it.
Is that, again, there are 3 types of hashtags: branded, functional, and fun, right? And we want you to use them. We want you to research them first. And the other thing is, let's just go over that list again of best places to use them and why to use them. So, hashtags really started on Twitter, and you definitely need to use them. Now, I do want to say that, is there anybody out there who's using Social Jukebox or Tweet Jukebox?
Tweet Jukebox. I just started. Right. Yeah.
Here, they're having a problem with Twitter right now. Mm-hmm. And if you have a tweet that has a hashtag and a link, Twitter reads it as spam. So you either have to have the tweet with a hashtag or a tweet with a URL. Now they're trying to fix it, but right now they're having a hard time with it. So, but if you're just posting straight up on Twitter through Hootsuite or Meet Edgar or anybody like that, there doesn't seem to be a problem. So just so you know, that's going on. But definitely, you should definitely use hashtags on Twitter. There's some research that it gets twice as much reach and lots of other good stuff. And when you go to that article that I had posted, the hashtag info article, there's a lot of data there on expanding reach through hashtags. Yes, Andrea, use them strategically.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of the mega tip number 3, right? I'm just reviewing our
notes.
Our notes, yeah. best places to use them. Yep, Twitter.
And that strategic use of hashtags, the way, it's sort of like the functional way to do that is do the research, see who they're associated with, so that you're associated with influencers and people that you want to be influenced by or to or associated with. And then figure out where it is that what keyword or keyword phrase you need to be known for or searched for, just like you would put your keywords in SEO on your blog posts. It's the same thing for your tweets and social posts. So it's SEO. Using hashtag is SEO. So whatever you would think to do for your blog post, this is what you do for your social posts too, except you put a hashtag in front of it. That's really it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I think that what I'd like to talk about too, and we'll open it up for some questions here, people commenting on how they're using hashtags. Let's talk about measuring hashtags at this. Like, how do we measure? How do you measure or strategically make sure that it's actually working for you?
Well, okay, so there's 2 things with that. One, you can go to Twitter right now and look in your analytics, and you can see which posts are getting the most reach, the most impressions, the most retweets, the most likes over there, and take a look at it. Now, the only weird thing about Twitter now is that images have sort of jumped into the limelight over there, and I haven't tested this, but I think I need to, because if you have 2 tweets that are the same and one has a couple of hashtags and one has an image, I can almost guarantee that the one with the image gets more engagement, but the one with the hashtag gets more impressions. So that seems to be the thing right now. So if you're on Twitter for reach, or if you're on Twitter for engagement, if you're on Twitter for engagement, definitely every tweet has to have an image. So,
yeah, that's a good point. And so, and I think the hard thing with Twitter is that I know we had a little fail there, Tim, on our title. I did not put a hashtag in our title. That was a fail. We were trying to change it and we couldn't even edit the title. So
it still won't let us do it. It's so weird.
I know. So I think that when I've done an experiment on Facebook hashtags, I found that and I experimented with different size pages. So I was looking at hashtags on a smaller page and hashtags on a larger page, and adding hashtags with basically the same post, and then determining if they had higher reach. And it was inconclusive. For the larger page, it was kind of didn't seem to matter too much. The smaller page did seem to get a little more reach with some of the posts that did have hashtags. So I always encourage people to look at and do your own experiments around this and kind of test what's working for you and in your market, because maybe your niche is a place that loves hashtags and, likes to search on them and whatever, or your niche might be like, couldn't care less about hashtags and doesn't look around for them. So,
it's truly, you really have to do your research. You have to be that person who does that kind of research, and you do have to build a strategy. You don't, this is the thing. You don't just want to use what everyone else is using all the time.
Mhm.
And you do want to, some businesses don't have to use branded hashtags and would look weird to use branded hashtags. But a lot of businesses, if they have a registered tagline, then definitely they need to be using that in their hashtags for sure. All these new people finding us on the first day,
I know,
and
I
we're
know.
hats and wigs, you know. So
I know they're probably like, what the heck?
what's going
All
on
right,
around their lab? Oh my god!
So great. So let's open it up for questions. The way we usually do our social talk show is we spend the first half hour giving tips, talking, and then we open it up for questions for people sharing their experiences. Hats and wigs are encouraged. Clothes are not optional. So is that right? Clothes, yes. Yes, clothes are required. Okay.
Yes, say it that way.
I know, it made it sound like it was optional. So feel free to, Janet was asking if I was wearing roller skates. No, I really wish I was wearing a leather jacket though. That's, yeah. So anyone have any thoughts about,
hashtags? We'd love to hear how you do your research and love to see how you set up your strategy. And also, if you have clients or what they think about it, if they think it's a little odd or weird and you have to explain it to them, or if everybody understands hashtags nowadays.
Yeah.
Anybody come on in?
So feel free. Oh, yep. And we will, I'm going to actually now post a tweet now that I finally got the topic changed. It was not working before. So, but feel free to share your thoughts. I know we've had some great thoughts from people already. And so love to hear what you are using for hashtags, or if you do, what kind of research you might do. Janet shared her tool of simpler for healthcare hashtags.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Anybody, come on in. Anybody?
Or we'll just keep talking.
We know how to do that.
Yeah.
We have that part down.
Yeah. So good. If you're just joining us, we did kind of share some tools. We shared Tagboard. We shared #IfyMe. We shared Trends Map.
Yes.
And question from Melinda on Twubs. Yes, Twubs is another really good tool.
Yeah. You know, some of these have been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
And some of them in the last couple of years that had to do with hashtags and hashtag registering and things like that got bought and got turned into other things. So you do have to go and check there sometimes. Again, you can't really register a hashtag, but you can use it enough to where it's associated with you. And unless it's your registered tagline for your business and you own the copyright on that phrase, then yes.
Right. Yeah, it's very difficult to register. You can't register a hashtag. Although, who was it that was saying that earlier? It was someone that mentioned that it was, I forgot where it went. Right. No.
What are we looking for?
I'm looking for the person who was talking about registering a hashtag. And now I lost it. Anyway, so great. Cool. Yeah, Twubs actually is being, it was Anita. That's who it was. Yeah. Yeah. Anita was talking about that, registering a hashtag. Another, Tweetchat is another tool that I have had bad luck with Tweetchat lately for Twitter chats. So that's been kind of frustrating. It keeps crashing for me. So for me, what I just end up doing is using my regular Twitter tool and just refreshing. I just use Hootsuite and put a column in. Anyone else have any good Tweetchat alternatives? I'd love to hear them if you have something that's worked for you.
Yeah, well, TweetDeck, yes, for sure. That would work for sure.
And there's some
TweetChat. I love TweetChat too, but you know, if it crashes for you and doesn't work, then
Yep, that's for sure. There have been some really good lists of Twitter chats. I mean, that's a great way to use to brand, a hashtag is to have a Twitter chat around that hashtag. I think that works really well. And there's lots of great Twitter chat research places. This one was kind of
and actually
good.
The name of our show, which is Social Talk Live, is a hashtag that no one uses except for us. So we're very happy about that.
I should use that more. I haven't been good about using that.
It's interesting. Through time, my interest in use of hashtags kind of ebbs and flows. Yeah. And I'm always reminded of hashtags when I'm doing promotional posts, because I'm trying to figure out ways to expand reach. And there's only a few ways you can expand reach online for free. And one of them is hashtags. The other is for tagging and to sharing with partners and having partners share your thing. The other thing is just creating so much incredible content that people have to share it, and they're just compelled to share it. And then the last way is paid, which is advertising. So if you want to expand reach and you don't have a budget for advertising and you don't have any friends, use hashtags, right? Yes, use hashtags. Yes. Absolutely.
Awesome. That's great. Cool. Yeah, hashtags are the language of search and filtering. They're
good. Magical.
That's a quotable right there, Tim.
Yeah, and when I try to explain hashtags to people who are not fluent online, and they say, I don't get it. What's the deal with hashtags? I just say it's magical. It's just this magical thing. It connects people together, and you should use them. Yep. Yeah. Don't try to understand it. Just do it.
All right, good. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we'll just recap. And unfortunately, I've been negligent in scheduling our next Social Talk Live here for next Friday, but we will be back for sure.
With new hats and new wigs.
With new hats and new wigs. I don't know, though. I like this wig. I think I'm going to have to wear this a little more. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What would you guys like to hear about? If there's any thoughts about what you guys want to chat about, we'd love to hear it too. Just throw it out there in the comments. We're going to talk about upcoming. We're going to talk about social media ROI tracking. We're going to get into UTM tags. We're going to talk about we've talked about some Facebook ads material, but if you guys want to talk about other types of ads, let us know. Just throw it there in the chat. So cool. But to recap, our mega tips were
Number 1. Oh, are we going backwards? Number 3. Number 3 was have a strategy. Have a strategy. Don't just use them willy-nilly. Right?
Yep.
Now, number 2 was research them first. Very important. Don't look like a fool online. And then our mega tip number 1, which is like the duh tip, but still, it's so funny, is just use them. Use them. If you want to expand reach, use them. And we just want to see all those hashtags going out there and making a difference in your reach.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. This has been a lot of fun. As usual, we always like to have fun. So so thanks for coming, and we'll be here next Friday, same time, same channel. And these are all, just to answer Janet's question specifically too, these are all put on YouTube. We also kind of I do a blog post recap on Mondays that kind of gives all these tips and includes our fun little blab here. And we are always welcoming guests. So please feel free to hop on and ask questions when we open it up for questions at the end. So don't be shy. Get your wigs and hats out.
All right, everybody. And I like to post the audio recording of the blabs. I think that's a lot of fun. And so that's where the audio recording goes. And thank you very much if you shared on Twitter and created some lovely, flattering gifs of us in our hats and wigs. And we really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.